Okay, while you're looking for the data, I would just like to give a reminder. Since I allowed a few of our senators to speak, I will also grant you the courtesy, Senator Risa. But after that, we will have to strictly try to allow everybody to make their presentations, and then we will ask our questions. I just ask that, as chair, if we have like a quick clarification that I can interject in between. Thank you. Ma'am, are you ready with your response?
Yun pong sinasabi kanina, ito po yung dami ng paggamit ng EDSA. Pero yun lang pong city buses, nasa 4,800 city buses.
4,800
Franchise along EDSA.
po?
Opo.
Ito ano?
Pwede po silang bumabiyahe ng 2-3 beses.
Opo.
Kaya po.
Hindi po ba natin ma-regulate yan na yung mga... Kasi ito na lang itong 4,800, enough na siguro ito para pumasok yung mga pasahero dito sa Metro Manila area. At yung mga provincial buses, yung 8,640, dito na lang sila sa bungad ng Metro Manila para hindi na sila makapag-cause ng traffic, especially sa area.
Madam Chair, yun nga po ang plano. Yun pong sa city, within city bounds lang po sila, iikot. Yung pong mga provincial buses, hanggang doon lang po sila sa terminal. Parang yung pong mag-e-end po yung ibang buses doon sa terminal para kunin nila yung mga galing probinsya na gusto pang magbiyahe paloob o kung saan man sa loob ng Metro Manila.
Kasi ito po ang nakikita ko sa EDSA na dumadaan. May mga buses ang dami, may mga jeepney din na dumadaan. Hindi lang jeepney, may mga single, mga motorcycle nga eh. Ewan ko kung pasahero yun o habal-habal yun na tinatawag nila. Na alam mo yung may pasahero, isa-isahan lang. Hindi ko alam kung para sa akin, yung mga jeepney siguro, i-regulate natin yan na hindi na siguro din sa dumadaan sa EDSA. Yung mga buses na lang siguro, para sa akin, yung mga buses na lang siguro, yung itong 4,800 buses dito sa Metro Manila, sila na lang siguro ang allowed na dumaan sa EDSA para maiwasan, mabawasan na yung problema sa traffic. Hindi nabanggit niyo po kanina yung problema natin sa traffic ko yung pag-establish niyo ng terminals. 3 years pa po yan? Tama po ba? Sabi niya 3 years pa bago
2018 po yung sa South at saka Southwest. Yung pong sa North medyo matatagalan dahil under feasibility study. Later part of 2019 or 2020.
So kung matatagalan po, matatagalan pa po rin po yung problema dito sa traffic ngayon. Yung lahat ng araw-araw na pagsakripisyo ng ating mga mamamayan. 3 years din po sila maghihintay.
Kaya nga po sa ngayon po, ang isang tinitingnan na solusyon ay yung enforcement. Kaya po magkakameron din sa emergency power na magtatayo ng isang single authority para mag-manage ng traffic.
Sige po, thank you. Maybe we should go ahead and wrap up with Senator Manny. Do you have one last question perhaps?
Okay po. Gusto kong maitanong lang po yung chairman po ako ng Public Works, yung programa ng DOT, yung LRT1 papuntang Cavite ba yun? May road right of way na po kayo sa project ninyo. Ano na pong development ng project ninyo papunta doon?
Maraming salamat po sa tanong, Senator. Patuloy po yung pag-acquire namin ng right of way. Ang sabi ko nga po yung right of way ng LRT1, nauna na po yan, matagal na pong tinatrabaho, kailangan lang po namin talaga madaliin para makumpleto. Ngayon po sa mga ibang mga linya, yun po talagang kakailangan po namin yung tulong ng Senado sa pamamagitan ng emergency powers para mapabilis po namin yung pag-acquire. Kasi minsan po talaga, kailangan yung pangmatagalan yung bili po natin ng mga right of way dahil ang tren po hindi lang po yung dinadaanan ng tren kung saan po paparada yung tren, yung tinatawag po na depot, at doon po talaga namin kailangan bumili ng mas malaking mga lupa para sa tren.
Okay,
Okay po, last question na po, Madam Chair. Direct to the point, ilang taon bago nyo ma-implement, ilang taon bago matapos, gusto kong malaman po para may assurance naman yung mga taong bayan natin na umaasa ngayon na ma-resolve na yung isa rin ito makatulong sa problema sa trapiko.
Very quickly po. Sa ngayon, marami na pong mga linya ng tren na napag-aralan na. Nandun po meron na po tayong line 1, line 2, line 3. Ang napag-aralan na po yung line 4, yung tinatawag po namin line 5, yung subway na nagko-connecta sa mga business districts. Meron po tayong line 6, papuntang Dasmariñas.
Gaano po katagal yan? Gaano katagal ba?
Ang sisikapin po namin sa loob po ng administrasyon ni Presidente Duterte, maumpisahan at matatapos at least yung ibang phases nito mga projects nito. Pero ang trend po...
Ano lang po, kung bigyan mo nyo lang po kami ng rough estimate ng taon, pag-start ng project, ilang taon bago matapos yan?
Ang mga pag-start po ng bidding hanggang completion mga first phase, siguro kung mga 4 na taon po yan ang train system.
4 na taon?
Senator Pacquiao, actually, hiningan po natin sila ng detalyadong plano kung ano mga gusto nila at kailan matatapos. So we will, dahil kayo po yung chairman ng Public Works dito, kailangan alam din ninyo yung parte ng gobyerno para maibigay itong mga proyekto na ito.
Madam Chair, that leads me to my parliamentary inquiry.
Okay.
Just administrative matters. Madam Chair, I remember during the last hearing, we asked for some data, several data. As I was listening a while ago with Senator Drilon, this representation also asked whether...
They just submitted this morning, sir. So we will furnish your office a copy. Thank you for reminding us.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, the chair recognizes Senator Rizal for your quick question so that we can continue with the presentation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Cognizant of the reminder of the Chair, I'll reserve my substantive questions for the question round. Pero gusto ko lang at this point i-flag, leading up to those questions, at i-appreciate yung mga puntong nilabas ni Ms. Medina at ni Chair din. The point that partly yung traffic situation natin is also a result of the progress sa ating low-cost housing programs. So pagbibigay din, Madam Chair, na yung pag-resolve natin sa ating traffic problems are also related to the decentralization of our housing and our employment hubs. Yung pagbibigay pansin din sa mga maliliit na magsasaka natin. In the first hearing, I was very glad na bring up yung resettlement issue kaugnay ng procurement process, ng right-of-way sa train tracks. Then, Madam Chair, Secretary Tugadi assured that the President's promise of no demolition without relocation will be followed and that the housing sector will be invited to the next hearing to discuss this point. I don't know if the old Bantay Realist Network is here. And lastly, Madam Chair, just to bring into our discussion yung magandang konsepto in privilege speech kahapon ni Senator Mix Zubiri, concept ng what he called inclusive mobility. Na yung isang bahagi ng definisyong iyon ay yung provision of mobility, access to mobility, especially of the poor and the vulnerable. So yung mga batayang sektor na binanggit kanina ng mga kasama, basic sectors who are majority users of a mass public transport system. Salamat, Madam Chair.
Thank you for raising those points, Senator Risa. We will continue with our presentation. I would like to skip from the bus sector to Ms. Elvira Medina, National President of the Commuter Safety Protection, for your 5-minute presentation, ma'am. Very quickly.
Okay, our organization's main objective, kaligtasan sa lansangan, karagatan at paliparan. At this point in time, we will deal on the present situations that we have. First slide, please. The situation is out of the people who utilize traveling EDSA, 80% are commuters and 20% are motorists. These are private motorists. In the allocation of resources, however, out of the 5 lanes northbound and 5 lanes southbound, public utility vehicles are allowed only 4 lanes This is 2 northward and 2 southward. This means 40% are allocated to commuters and 60% to private motorists. Next slide, please. So this is the graphic representation. We have 80 for the private riders and 80% for the public. However, in the road share, they have 60%, and we have 40% for the public. If you are going to make a count, this would translate to per row, you have 48 passengers on one side and 900 passengers on the second side. Next slide, please. Our recommendation is, with the relief of the traffic attained by the HPG, at least in the first week that they were given EDSA after the APEC, it is now recommended that the third lane be converted into a blue lane where non-stop public vehicles, specialized vehicles can run. These are public vehicles that do not need to pick up passengers along the lanes, along EDSA, such as boarded taxis, UV Express, provincial buses, school buses, ambulances. You will notice that when the two lanes, the two yellow lanes were segregated by barriers, there was really movement inside the yellow lanes. So there were private motorists that tried to use the same lane. However, the HPG was able to move them out. So even if I experienced this traveling during peak hours along EDSA, the yellow lane is moving, we are stuck. The private vehicles are stuck. On Sundays, when very few private motorists fly, there's hardly difficulty in EDSA. Take note that the number coded are not even enforced on Saturdays and Sundays. Next slide, please. Okay, the situation. The government has paying consultants 1 million pesos per day. Up to this minute, no real solution has been attained. Most of the studies were even not presented to the public who have paid for them. None of the stakeholders were ever consulted. Next slide, please. Our recommendation that the Philippine Public Consultative Council be established. This will ensure stable communication mechanism between the stakeholders and the government. It will ensure that stakeholders will co-recognize the ownership of the policies and guidelines, therefore making its expedient execution. Next slide, please. The next situation is the past administration have implemented what is called the PPP, or Private-Public Partnership. The projects were prioritized for partnership with either foreign investments or local businessmen. It had underestimated the capacity of the stakeholders who have been in the transport industry for decades. I would like to point this at this time. We have bus companies that have been in the business for 75 years, 70 years, and I don't think any college degree can ever take that credit from them. Next, please. Okay, we recommend that there should be a stakeholders government partnership. Most stakeholders in the transport industry have the financial, managerial, and even conceptual capability of setting up an intelligent transport system. Next slide, please. Finally, for the emergency power, we'd like to recommend an oversight committee to assist the secretary. The committee shall be composed of one from the Senate, one from the House of Representatives, one from the Department of Transportation, stakeholders, and concerned public sectors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms.
This is, this last slide, actually, we wanted to discuss the BRT. I will just submit this to the chair so that they can make a further study. This will show you the benefits of the MRT2 or LRT2 versus the BRT. This is courtesy of Mr. James Mangonon, our colleague from the the public transport center. Thank you very much.
Ms. LB, that will really help. Let's submit that to the DOT as well as to our committee.
Yes,
And
please.
I would like to reiterate to Yusef Lontok to please get these different groups together in your planning stages now. But for the next presentations, I would like to remind you, you don't really need to give too much data already that was mentioned about the number of private vehicles, so on and so forth. Go to the heart of the matter. What do you need? What do you want? You don't even have to show your PowerPoint anymore if you don't need to, because right now I'm reducing it to 8, so it's about 40 minutes. If you strictly follow the 5 minutes so we can ask your questions. Next is June Magno, Stop and Go, UV Express.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and the honorable members of this committee. John Magno, President of Stop and Go Transport Coalition. I-represent ko po kayo ng UV Express. Madam Chair, hindi ko na po ulitin yung sinabi ni ating kasamang Madam Elvira. Alam po natin na ang EDSA po ay talaga pong